They have the hard-hitting analysis.
I'm anti-injury, so maybe this won't work out.
Kyler's only playing one tight end this week, so that's probably going to help him out a lot.
They tell it like it is.
That's not what I needed, Grandma Nut.
All right, the hipster fantasy player.
I don't do anything.
Their listeners love them.
Found all your charts boring, to be frank. Caitlin was the star of the show.
They break down all the statistics.
20 points. That doesn't quite add up. Maybe he had 93.
This is the Snick Snack Sports Podcast.
Here we... All right, Snickers, help me out.
What's going on, everybody out there? Halfway through the NFL season, it's going to be a good week of football today. Nate, how are you doing?
Doing great, Snickers. Can't believe it's already halfway. How are you doing tonight?
Doing great. Watching my Chuba Hubbard tear up the Bears tonight.
We'll see. He's on my team. I'd love for him to get some value so I can trade him away. But we've got a big show for you. We're at season 1.5 now, and we're going to be talking about last week. The standings moving around a bit of a very tight playoff race this year, and we'll have Matt on the show, our commissioner, to have his mid-season review. Let's get into the bet. First of all, I was worried things were getting a little lopsided. But what happened last week, Nick?
Yeah, I was up 5-3 for last week, and then we had Jahan Dotson versus Terry McLaurin. I was watching the Commanders-Patriots game, and it was going great. McLaurin, outscored him on the yards and the catches, but Dotson got the touchdown. So Nate got the win last week. He's down 4 wins to my 5 wins right now.
I'm feeling very happy about what we have decided on for this week's bet. Because, a lot of it came down to a big trade that we might as well talk about here. We actually have 2 trades to talk about. We'll both talk about the one between me and Nick. Or the other Nick, Ducky. It was in the works for weeks, actually, behind the scenes, because Nick really wanted Puka, and he was willing to text me an awful lot about it to see if we could make that happen. And finally, I did give him Puka, and I also gave him a 7th-round pick. He gave me Nico Collins, who's also a bit of an upper-comer, maybe a keeper next year, perhaps. And Isaiah Pacheco, who's running back 1 at the moment. And he also gave me an 8th-round pick. What do you think?
So you think you're able to fleece him there, Nate? Or do you think that was a pretty even trade?
I think it was a pretty even trade. I admit he got a larger keeper value, but I do worry about Puka's value for the rest of this season with this injury to Matt Stafford worried me. He was out last week. It did not work out for Puka. Those kind of thumb injuries can just make a quarterback kind of suck for the rest of the year, and that's what Matt Stafford has had that exact injury in the past, and that's exactly what happened. Is he became totally ineffective. So I thought, good time to get out on Puka. Got some guys who, even if he is good, I hope will return on that value. But this week, it sounds like, I got Nico in the deal. Ducky still has Tank Dell, who totally blasted off last week, something like 27 points. And you're telling me that Ducky may have kept the better wide receiver.
Yeah, Nico's taller, but he doesn't get the deep bombs the same way Tank Dell does. And after that humongous effort that C.J. Stroud and the Texans put on last week, which is incredible to watch, I think Tank Dell is definitely the better choice this week going against the Bengals in Cincinnati.
We'll see. That's going to be a fun game to watch. I think I'll probably tune into that one. But last week, I will admit, Nico was the wide receiver 3 on his team because Noah Brown also had a big game. But he did score a touchdown and something like 50 or 60 yards himself. I think it's going to come back to form, and he's going to be the apple of C.J. Stroud's eye, just like he has been the rest of the season.
What's going to be really interesting is Dalton Schultz even, got more yards and more points last week than Nico. But there's 3 or 4 viable options in Houston right now, so it's going to be interesting to see who Cincinnati wants to cover.
Things could definitely shake out interesting. Robert Woods is also there. But
Robert Woods is also there. Yep.
Yeah. And now let's take a look at the standings. Here we are. So and I am happy with the current standings because I am now in the playoffs once again because we have a top 6 make the playoffs. And right now 5-4 will do it unless you're Carson because his point scored is we did look this up for those who had questions, and the first decider is head-to-head matchup as we had said in the past. The website does not say what the second decider is if there's the head-to-heads are 1-1. But I suspect strongly that it is points scored.
Yeah, no, that definitely all makes sense there. We'll see how many more wins you can get against people who aren't setting their lineup fully. Because that's 2 for you now, where you would have actually probably lost if they had set a full lineup versus my 1 win against someone who didn't set their lineup where I wouldn't have lost. So, but yeah, you're in 6th place right now, 5-4. Halfway through the season, more than 50% chance to make the playoffs. And I got another win last week. Very exciting. So did Matt, moving on up. Where me and Matt are, I think, both going to get playoff spots by the end of the year here. It'll be fun.
That would be exciting. But there is investigation into all of these players not setting their lineups. I fully expect to come out of it clean with the good faith of the league restored. But right now, mid-tier Nick retains his sole hold on first place despite a rather weak points for. It's not that much more than me or you, actually.
Yeah, no, he got an L last week, bringing him to 7-2, but he's still ahead of Ducky and John are both at 6-3 right now.
Yeah, those two really feel like they're battling it out for true dominance. I am afraid of Ducky, even though he made a trade that was really focused on next season rather than this one. I think his team still looks very strong. And at this point, Kyler is not mathematically eliminated, but 1-8, he might as well be mathematically eliminated because 6 and 8 is just not going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, it was really interesting. I was looking on the app earlier today, and it said that he was eliminated. He had an E next to his name. Looking on ESPN right now, it says he has a 1% chance. So it's
interesting.
We'll say that he probably isn't going to make it, but we'll see if he wants to, sell a bit of his team to get better next year. I know I sent him a trade earlier today. We'll see how it goes.
I think one more loss, and it would have to be an E. I just don't think 5 and 9 can make the playoffs. But let's look at some of the exciting matchups from last week. Mine obviously caught some attention in Discord because Carson did forget to switch out Tremaine Edmonds, who was injured. That is not my fault. I maintain innocence. I've had no contact with Carson other than to ask him about potentially being on the show sometime in the coming weeks, which he is interested in considering. But I mean, he had a Dak Prescott just go off, which did put an awful scare in me because Dak Prescott is getting hot.
Yeah, no, I really thought that Carson could come back from a player or 2 down and take you out. As watching your matchup throughout Sunday night and into Monday, but no, you came away with another win here. So congrats to you. We'll see how it goes moving forward.
Yeah, thank you very much. Unfortunately, I also had a terrible injury to Kaimi Fairbairn, who had to leave the game after only 6 points and had to replace him. But
that is horrible for Kaimi, but that did make probably the greatest story of the weekend, where Dare Ogunbowale came in, had to always go for 2 because they didn't have a kicker. Dare did kick a field goal, 29 yards in the 4th quarter. Without that, they would have lost the game. And he kicked off into the end zone touchbacks every time. Very impressive to watch him come in and play. Even though I checked his fantasy stats, the 3 points he got from the field goal were the only points he's gotten all year.
Oh, wow. So the sun has been sitting on Dare. I remember he was always kind of like waiver wire consideration the past couple of years. Other matchups to pay attention to from last week. The Olive Man went off despite losing 2 of what I thought were 2 of his stronger players. One of the stronger performances of the year. You had a very solid matchup against a struggling Shane's team.
Yep. Yeah, no, Shane was saying he's a big Jets fan, said that the Wilson twins were going to go off on Monday night, and that's who he needed to have a good game. I had needed to have Chargers have a good game. And the Wilson twins, meaning Zach and Garrett, combined for 4 lost fumbles. So unfortunately, that wasn't good for him. It was good for the Chargers defense. Got another win under the belt and feeling pretty good moving into this week.
Very nice. Also of note, mid-tier Nick, our leader, had the lowest score of the week. Does this mean that the sun is also setting on mid-tier Nick? Who's to say? He's going to make the playoffs, but at this point. And Fufu Cuddly Poops Kyle, who I'm playing this week, did not have a good week. Overall, a pretty quiet week around the league, except for Ducky, really. I think, it was a tough bye week. And this week is also the toughest bye week of the year just because the team's involved.
Yeah, no, Chiefs, Dolphins, Rams, and what was it? Cowboys are all on bye?
Yes. I think just the top 4 quarterbacks are out this week. Some of the biggest offenses. The matchups are still pretty good, though. Tell us, what was some of the news around the league?
Yeah, we'll start off with a little bit of injury news. Obviously, Daniel Jones came back to play last week because the Giants didn't have any quarterbacks they could use, and unfortunately, tore his ACL. He's going to be out for the rest of the year. They're going to move forward with Danny DeVito at quarterback. And Cam Akers, aka Cameron, the running back for the Minnesota Vikings, tore his Achilles, the other Achilles. He already came back faster than any other player in NFL history for his first injury. We'll see if he can do it for the second one too. This could be maybe the end of his career. Some good news: Josh Dobbs, the win against the Atlanta Falcons last week, is the man. Other than being an actual rocket scientist, he is incredible at football, doesn't know any of his teammates' names, and still is able to lead a fourth quarter comeback in his first game after being traded about 4 days before that. The Texans we already talked about, super high flying. We'll see how they do when they come up against a hard team in Cincinnati. We got Carson Wentz back in the NFL. I am probably the only one that's very excited about this. I've always been a huge Carson Wentz fan. He's going to be on the Rams. He's on the Rams practice squad. We were talking about that Matt Stafford's finger is hurting a little bit. We'll see if Carl Wentz can get some play time. They already released Brett Rippenfarts from the team after his poor performance last week. So Carson Wentz looks like he's about the next man up here. And not very relevant fantasy news, but Martavis Bryant of 2016 fame has been signed to the Dallas Cowboys practice squad. We'll see if he gets on the roster and gets you some points here.
And I believe Martavis has a bit of infamy in our league specifically. Yeah, I forget either he maybe sat unjustly in a finals that John would have won if he had played him, and instead played a player who was out.
Yeah. No, I was facing against facing him against Kyler in the semifinals, and I did not play Martavis Bryant. And if I did, I would have won by a couple of points, and then I would have placed John in the finals where John didn't set his lineup, and then I would have been a 2-peat champion instead of Kyler there.
That was it. So I did not realize he was even of age to play football anymore, but apparently he was pretty young when he got suspended like 12 times. We're going to have Matt on the show in just a second, but first we just have a quick word from today's sponsor.
Who are you gonna call when you're real hungry? The Olive Man. Who are you gonna call when you're in trouble? The Olive Man. Who are you gonna call when you need drugs? The Olive Man. Who are you gonna call when you need to topple an oppressive regime? The Olive Man. Whatever your need is, give the Olive Man a call. He's a fruit that can get things done.
All right, thank you to the Olive Man for your sponsorship. Just as a reminder, we're always looking for new sponsors. Just send it to Nick and I, and we will, if we like your product, we'll get you on the show. All right, please welcome our commissioner to the show, Matt. How you doing?
Doing fantastic. It is snowboarding season now, so this league is bottom of my priority list.
Well, from what I understand, there's only a single trail open. You can't be spending too much time out there.
one trail is better than none, and I know someone doing very well in this league, John, would agree with that. One trail is better than none.
You taking John's advice? I see the Bears and Panthers game just started, and you're taking John's advice there too by starting Khalil Herbert in your flex.
Yeah, did he not play?
He is currently on IR still, unfortunately.
Cool. That's fine.
This is interesting. Who are you playing this week, Matt?
Couldn't tell you.
Playing Ducky, trying to give Ducky a easy win here, Nate. We'll see how we can get any collusion charges against Ducky there. But
I
thought
find that
he was coming off the IR, so I put him in.
I was checking his
Oh, well.
status, and it looked like he was projected to come off the IR and then did not.
Well, you see, I dedicated 30 minutes setting my lineup a week, and that happened to be on yesterday. So, it was just, I have 3 leagues to deal with. I'm doing horribly in 2 of them, doing well in the 3rd. But, it just so happened that I dedicated my 10 minutes to this league. Herbert was going to be in, put him in, and now here we are.
It's okay. I mean, you still have a pretty good team that you can come back from that. Carson almost beat Nate last week without playing a defensive player. And you have the legend Josh Dobbs in your starting lineup right now. What makes you think Dobbs is going to be able to destroy the Saints the same way he destroyed the Falcons?
Nothing. I just think he's better than Trevor Lawrence, and I'm not going to change it at this point. And like I said, my lineup is locked. It was locked yesterday at about 7 a.m. So
seems like there'd be a better day to just dedicate your 10 minutes.
Well, my time yesterday was there was snow, so I thought I should go outside and enjoy the snow rather than sit inside and do my fantasy football lineup.
Yeah, I just find it very interesting that the Olive Man inspires you to launch an investigation into me. I think as a shield to hide the fact that he was meanwhile orchestrating his own unset lineup victory.
Now, Nate, you do understand part of the investigation is I beat you. That is part of the concern, is that you tried to throw the game against me to try to throw everyone off your scent. And that's part of the problem here, is that my sad sack and crap team beat yours.
I will just say that I am not concerned about your investigation and will be a free man once it's completed.
Okay, we'll see.
The other members of our league will be chanting "Free Nate" as they have been known to in the past as well.
I will eat my hat if everyone else in the league chants that,
and we will film it.
So no, I was always receiving the love. And Matt, we caught it a little bit late last week, and so tell us about your trade.
Yeah, with the ability to trade your draft picks now, it is my season is just out the window, right? There's no coming back from my crummy record and team, so might as well rebuild a little bit. Look towards next year.
Maybe. I mean, they know that you came out of it too shabby. I mean, with Daniel Jones being injured now, Saquon is a little less valuable. You still have a 10% chance as ESPN goes.
That is surprisingly high.
I agree.
I think you've won 3 out of the last 4 games, Matt. I don't know why you're giving away your season yet.
I only have 2 wins.
3.
I think you have 3 wins.
3?
Yeah.
I beat Kyler last week. Yeah, we really fought for loser bowl.
The easy part of your schedule, I guess, but
I got 3 wins. That is fine by me.
Now you normally really only are allowed 6 losses anyway. So I think basically you win out, you're in. And going 7-7, you need to have a very good point score.
Yeah, my point score is trash. My team just did not come together this year. So Garrett Wilson is Jamar Chase is the only untouchable person on my roster. Looking to pile draft picks for next year. So if someone's looking to make a push like Kenny is, I'm willing to trade players and draft picks.
Yeah, I mean, with the Daniel Jones news, I really think that Kenny may have really not benefited too much. And obviously a 3rd round pick is big for you, Matt.
I really tried for a second.
I would not have given up a second for anything this year, so I don't blame him.
I tried to throw in we were going back and forth on the picks. We ended up on I think I wanted a second. And then he said, how about a third and a 12th? And I said, okay, how about a third and a 10th? I said third and a 12th, and it worked. So
Yeah, I
there's
think
no, you do have to know, picks have to go both ways, just for the draft. So you do have to throw in a pick.
I had kind of forgotten about that, and then so your trade kind of enabled the trade between me and Ducky because I had a deal I liked for the most part, was trying to get rid of Puka for this year before Matt Stafford his badness was revealed, and sweetened the deal with a 7th for an 8th pick round swap, and it made things go through.
Yep. Yeah, I think it'll encourage trading, right? And I do think we have a lack of activity on the trade block. So, right, teams like mine and probably Kyler's at this point where you can look towards next year and try to find someone looking to, trade for someone like Saquon. Right? That trade's not going to happen without a draft pick, or some of those end players might be on the move here.
Yeah, I think it also helps, like in our case, when the trade feels close but not quite right, it's hard to just throw in like an extra player. But
Right.
so you can get a little bump from just like a 1-round swap.
Right.
Yeah, no, but we have probably I think 3 or 4 weeks until the trade deadline. So I think there might be a handful more trades coming up after you guys push the effort here.
Yeah, now let's take a look at your matchup for the week, Matt. You're actually playing, like as we talked about, you're playing Nick today. If this will just go away, this stupid window. But here we are. So you already have 8 points, which seems, oh, that's just your defense.
Defense.
Tell us, I mean, your path to victory, oh boy, is a tough one, but how do you make it happen?
I don't.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think so?
Nope. Any week I win is a happy accident.
The Olive Man just traded away 2 of his stronger players on the year.
I would love to see it, Nate, but I see us spinning.
The computer is running slowly today, ladies and gentlemen.
That's fine. I think the way that you do have a decent chance here is if the Houston Texans don't have a good game against the Bengals, because Ducky's pretty heavily invested there. Kenneth Walker's been having injury issues. Taysom Hill could put up a 0. The only good players he has that are definitely going to score, at least 10 points are Derrick Henry and Roquan Smith.
I'm banking on Zach Wilson being a competent person to throw to Garrett Wilson and for Jamar Chase to actually put up points this week.
Jamar, I think, will definitely be able to put up points, but relying on Zach Wilson.
I mean, projected 19 last week too, and he got like 6.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because everyone else on the Bengals, they were thrown into all their, 4th string tight ends.
So we don't need that.
No one's heard of.
No, I think Laporte is a good player. Tank Dell is probably gonna have a good day. I mean, Stroud is in the MVP conversation to this point. Like,
Stroud is
a good team.
Snickers was highlighting at the beginning of the show, though, that apparently CJ Stroud has a historically bad away performance compared to his home performances.
So far, there's only 8 games in the season or whatever. But
yeah, he's going back to Ohio.
He's going back to Ohio, where you played college ball. And I like that you said that Tank Dell's a good player, Nate. Me and Nate's bet is actually Tank Dell versus Nico Collins, where I picked the Tank. What do you think there is? Who's going to be the better receiver this week?
Who's technically their number 1?
That's a great question. I think Nico Collins is probably listed at number 1.
If Nico Collins draws the top assignment from the Bengals defense, Tank Dell's going to do it. Whoever draws the number 1 assignment from the Bengals defense is going to lose that.
We will see. It's not. I don't think it's. I mean, they could be covering them a little more flexibly depending on the the situation.
Cincinnati is known for following receivers around the field, so they play a defense like the Patriots play with the secondary when we're healthy, right? They're gonna follow that number 1 receiver, the number 1 corner, and take him out of the game.
Well, we will have to find out. I am hopeful that is not the case, but it sounds like a little bit depends on what their strategy is. Now, Snickers, what is your matchup of the week?
Yeah, I was looking at Shane and John are playing each other. Natural bitter enemies there, but they're both been. John's been overperforming. Shane's been slightly underperforming. Obviously, Shane got blown up by me last week, which is never a great stat to have. But they're both looking pretty interesting in the matchup here. A lot of young players on both teams.
Yeah, it looks like through the first quarter, John's kicker, Johnny Hecker, already has 5 points, which is an excellent start. He's continuing to bench Adam Thielen, which is an interesting move, given he's been pretty strong through up until last week. And Mike Evans is on his bench. He always has this, I guess, just a really tough choice every week with who he's playing in his lineup here.
I mean, you say Adam Thielen should be in there. Are you benching any of those other 3 receivers for Adam Thielen? Because you could argue John's throwing a matchup by benching any of those 3 receivers.
Now that I'm looking at who's in the starting lineup, I would have to agree with you, Matt. He just has a ridiculous amount of wide receiver talent, and I have to be reminded of that every week. But
yeah, one thing Shane does have going for him is Jonnu Smith. You never know what you're going to get with him. I know Jonnu had like an 80-yard touchdown last week, which almost, tanked my matchup against Shane. So you never know what he's going to do. You never know what Gabe the Babe Davis is going to do. I think there's a chance that Shane wins this, but I think I'm going to lean on John and his receivers.
Yeah, I got to think so too. I think that Shane's team is struggling hard, and I mean the projection totals bear that out: 100 to 138. Somehow in maybe the toughest bye week of the season, John is projected at I think the highest one I've seen all year, and that's with Mike Evans on his bench, mind you. But I mean, he does. Shane does have a couple of zeros in there. Jack Campbell may get a chance to play again, given that Quay Walker appears to be out. So it'll probably go up to like 114 or so. But I can't see Shane winning this one. My matchup of the week is Katie versus Carson, the two waiver wire wonders, you could say. They're both in playoff contention, 7th and 8th place. Katie has 0 transactions on the year, and Carson has 1, and yet their teams are still halfway decent.
Katie had like 2 transactions last year and 1.
That's exactly it. She has.
So clearly, we're all idiots for making transactions.
Says the 3 guys that have the most transactions in the year are on this pod right now.
Yeah, idiots. We're all idiots.
No, I will say that Carson has managed to play Tremaine Edmonds 2 weeks in a row now, where he's projected at 0 points. Probably not playing today, but oh well. I'm sure your investigation will be looking into Katie's wheelings and dealings on the side as well.
Nope. She can just draft better than everybody else in this league, and that's just a fact of life.
I mean, it definitely was a fact last year. She was my champion, even though Nate didn't think she could win, and she did draft the best punter. Trust way is the best way, as they say.
Or in this case, like the 8th best way or something. But yeah, I hear you. No, and she lucked out that Deontay Foreman ended up playing, and it seems to be doing well, Matt. Meanwhile, your player is sitting there with 0 points.
That's fun.
We actually didn't get a chance to look to see if that was true, but oh, yep, there he is. Khalil 0.
And that was new news that came out, just a couple hours ago today, that Deontay Foreman is going to be basically the only running back, on the Bears tonight. So Thursday matchups are always tough to pick out there. But yeah, looking at the teams, I know Carson has a 0 in his IDP slot, but he does have, probably the best 2 running backs in the matchup. But I'm going to lean on Katie here. Stephon Diggs, DeAndre Hopkins, surprising Dalton Schultz. And I think Katie's going to win.
Yeah, I guess I would say so too, now that DeAndre Hopkins seems to be back on track. Dalton Schultz, has been excellent, although I do need his role to be reduced a bit. I'd pick Katie. What about you, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, Katie just drafts well. I don't know how she does it. I watch her draft prep, and it's minutes, absolute minutes, and she makes us all look like idiots every year.
She's very intuitive.
And she's standing right behind you. Gotcha. Okay.
Nope. She's I believe a happy hour for this.
Nice.
Now let's take a look at the offers report. There's a pretty quiet one around the league, except for Snickers that you spent a cool $13 on some small pieces.
Yeah, I mean, you got to do what you got to do. You got the spot start Zay Jones. I thought that honestly is kind of better than some of my receivers out there. We'll see if I can put him into the lineup this week.
What are you seeing? The Jets playing the Raiders and the Jets defense that warrants any form of fantasy football starter?
So last week I had the Chargers defense against the Jets, which got 23 points, but now the Chargers are playing the Lions. Obviously can't keep them around. So I saw, Jets were gonna be playing Raiders. I know Aiden O'Connell, looked decent against the Giants last week, but I think the Jets are a little bit stronger than the Giants and can shut the Raiders down.
You do realize that's one of the few teams the Patriots beat, right?
Yeah. Okay. And Patriots didn't look good against the Jets except for that one Pharaoh Brown touchdown.
But I don't know. The Chargers have the Vegas Raiders have new life underneath that new head coach.
No, so Antonio Pierce definitely brings a lot of fun to the team there.
Yeah, well, that's the great thing about this. We'll find out if that was a good move or not. Now, one thing that we've been meaning to ask you about, Matt, is that you had your week of spending spree. I think you spent $90 in 1 week. Do you have any?
I don't think I played any of them.
That's what I thought. Yeah. Are they even still rostered? These Miracle
Can
Men?
you go to my roster? I can tell you.
I know Amari DiMarcado is not in your roster anymore.
Yeah, DiMarcado, I'm sure, was dropped. He unfortunately didn't work out for you. I seem to remember that you picked up DJ Chark.
No, DJ Chark and Curtis Samuel. I picked them both up, and Curtis Samuel played 1 week, I think. Yeah, because that's wide receiver problem week 7.
Yeah, apparently DJ Chark got injured or something, but he's still sitting there on your roster.
Yeah, but you got DJ Chark and DJ Moore. I know DJ Dallas got injured last week, but you're gonna pick him up before the end of the year?
No, that's too much, too many roster moves.
What killed me, Matt, is that no one else bid, I think, a single dollar on any of those guys. I don't know what you were thinking.
No, it was I did my lineup on Tuesday that week and thought I need to make some changes here, and then I made a bunch of changes and nothing worked. So I said, fuck it, we're done.
So we could tell that was your Hail Mary, and it was clear that you were a little unsure of how to throw around the fab, because you could have made that same move for $3.
I could have, yeah. You got to spend the money though. I mean, if you're gonna make moves in 1 week, you might as well spend it all.
Yeah, you got to show people that you got the moolah.
Yeah.
Now, when are we going to be allowed to trade our fab as well, Matt? I want to be
no. ESPN doesn't support that. I would be on board with that if ESPN allowed it, but they don't.
I guess in this league it probably wouldn't do much because people seem to value their fab so much they just hold on to it, and at the end of the year they have 90 fab left.
Yeah.
But I think people are still getting slowly used to it. Now, just to close out here, Matt, what are the games you're looking forward to? I'm actually thinking I might watch this Patriots game for once.
I'm actually I've resorted to waxing snowboards during the Patriots as a stress relief. It's hard to watch and watch them fumble their way up and down the field. But no, I'll watch the Patriots and then I'll go skiing.
Yeah.
So.
No, Patriots in Germany is going to be a lot of fun to watch. Nate, you said you're looking forward to the Texans Bengals game, Nate, to be real exciting. I like the 49ers coming across the country to face Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Should be a pretty high-powered game. I'll see, how the Niners look coming off the bye and how the Jaguars look going up against a really good team.
Yeah, no, there's a bunch of good ones. So I agree that a lot to go around, considering that some of the best teams are on bye. But yeah, so I guess Matt, I sounds like you're not even really too hopeful about your team this year, but I hope you have a good snowboarding season at least. Until
Yeah, and you're going to be out here to enjoy it.
in February it sounds like. So I'm very much looking forward to that. Just hope you don't tire yourself out of this green ski slope before we get there.
Yeah, they're making snow on other trails, so we're hopeful for the weekend to get maybe like 4 or 5 new trails, which would be nice. But I have a great green route that I know is back of my hand now.
Yeah, I'm sure. So yeah, no, thanks for joining us this week, Matt, and we will see everyone next week.